Hello, everyone, and welcome to School of Speech, presented by Speech Therapy PD. This podcast is designed for all of us school-based SLPs to come together so we can really think deeply, learn boldly, and shine a light on the incredible work that is happening in our schools every day. So whether you are tuning in from your car, you're still in your school office, or like some of us, we might be cozied up at home in some soft clothing. This is your space to learn, to laugh, and really to lead with purpose. I'm your host, Carolyn Dolby, and today's episode feels extra special because we are welcoming back a returning guest, Cassandra Natali. I know many of you listeners loved her last episode supporting students with long COVID-19. She came on with her graduate student researcher, Abigail Spray. Now, if you missed that episode, I highly recommend you go and give it a listen. But y'all are here today, and this episode is titled Putting Universal Design for Learning into Practice in the School Setting. And again, we have Cassandra Natali, a speech language pathologist. She's also clinical instructor at Binghamton. I hope I said that right? Did I jump on that, Cassandra?
Binghamton.
Binghamton.
Binghamton, no R.
I need to have a little bit of help today. It's been a long one. Anybody been in a lot of IEP meetings like me today? Sorry. Binghamton. I did it!
Yay!
All right, yay. All right, let's edit that out. Okay. Instructor, Binghamton University, an award-winning school-based clinician whose work in language and literacy has inspired so many SLPs across the country. Hi, Cassandra, and thanks for helping me out already.
We're happy to be here.
Well, on a personal note, I absolutely had a joy meeting you in person at the ASHA convention in Washington, D.C. this year. Woo-woo!
Yeah, it was so exciting. It only took me a day to figure out the map of the exhibit hall, but it was great.
But you found us. Well, just so you know, she is just as warm and thoughtful and passionate in real life as she is on the air. So I am so glad that we get to continue our conversation today. All of you listening, don't forget that every episode of School of Speech is offered for 0.1 ASHA CEUs, and you can get those through your Speech Therapy PD account. Now, thank you so much for all of you that are listening live, because if your state requires live CEUs, well, thank you for being here. And I want to make sure that you do get your credit. So make sure that before the end of today that you go on to your Speech Therapy PD account and complete all the courses, including the one that says complete course. And that way we make sure you get credit for tonight. Okay, we also, as always, love to interact with our live audience. So if you have any comments or questions, jump in the chat. We moderate the chat, and I will ask Cassandra any questions and add any comments that you pose in there. But I always love to know where everyone is listening from. So we've got quite a few in our live audience today. So if you are listening live, do you mind jumping in the chat? Just say hi where you're at. I love to see where everyone's coming from. Oh, already Shauna from California. I love it. Hi. Oh, California is in the house. Look at that. Okay, we should have like a poll and see who wins.
Right?
While we are getting everyone jumping in, I love this so much. A little bit of housekeeping. I said a little bit about Cassandra, but that she is a full-time clinical instructor, but she also sells some of her adaptive books. Okay, that's a little foreshadowing and materials that we're going to discuss today on her Teachers Pay Teachers store, SLP Life, and I was on there today. Y'all are going to want to check it out. Then the language and literacy program that she will be talking about has been partially funded by 2 grants. She's just amazing. She's absolutely just amazing. Because she's also been the recipient of several awards for her work in the schools, including the New York State Speech Language Hearing Association's Distinguished Clinicians Award in 2014. And if that's just not enough, ASHA certification of recognition for outstanding contributions in preschool grades through grades 12 in 2025. So she is current, she's amazing, and I can't believe we have her back. Oh, I just want to say hello. I just saw someone from Oregon. Tammy, I don't know you, but I'm in Oregon too. I'm in Portland. Hi. Ooh, Terry, Vancouver, Washington's even closer. Anyway, for me, like I just said, Portland, I'm salaried with Portland Public Schools. I'm also now the co-founder of A Place to Start Therapy. I'll tell you more about that. It's sort of in the design time right now. But my favorite job is this, and I do get compensated from Speech Therapy PD for hosting School of Speech. Can't believe I get to do this. I do, on my day job, I am the dysphagia support speech pathologist for my district, but I also consult with other districts, helping them develop their feeding and swallowing programs. Enough about me. I can't wait to get on with the show. All right, universal design for learning. I think I don't want to assume that we all know what it is. We might all know what it is, but I kind of like if you want to start us off giving us your definition and kind of going in it so we are all on the same page going in. Can we
Yeah,
start there, Cassandra?
absolutely.
Okay.
So universal design for learning is, if you haven't heard the term, it's something that likely you are doing as an SLP already, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It just leans to our skill set. But the idea behind it is that there's multiple means of representation and also multiple ways that students can express their knowledge. So the goal is to really make learning motivating for the student, and allow what we're doing to have multiple means of representation. So we're not just giving oral directions when we're doing something. We might add visuals, right? Again, things that we do extremely well already. And then also accepting multiple ways that students can demonstrate their knowledge, right? Not every student is going to have really lengthy verbal answers. Maybe students communicate in other ways. And again, as you can kind of see by that definition, it's something that we really do kind of excel in, whether we know that we're doing it or not. It doesn't have to be a modification either. It can be something that's just naturally worked into the classroom environment, and that's kind of the area that I've done with the preschool classrooms that I've been in.
I love the fact that you said it doesn't have to be a modification. This is just good stuff.
It's just good stuff.
It's
Yeah,
just good
we
stuff.
could just make learning accessible for everyone, and that doesn't alienate the students who don't need that support. But it really allows our students who do need that support to feel included and feel empowered in their own learning.
So I think what I'm hearing is that what you're going to be telling us today is good for everybody. And so if you start incorporating this and it's good for everybody, it's not going to like shine a light on a student that make it that them different. It sort of like equals the playing field, if you will,
Yeah, and it makes
right?
or it allows for our students with, communication needs in the classroom to be just as included and not
Mhm.
kind of labeled as different. And everyone gets to kind of use the same thing. And the same kind of support. So, what I'll specifically be talking about is the use of these adaptive books that, some students, we were looking at reading comprehension, and I'll get into a bit more. But even our students who didn't need picture supports they were motivated by putting those little Velcro pieces into the books and answering the questions. So there were some of our students that need that visual support to answer. There might be some who are just minimally verbal, and that's how they respond. But no one in that classroom, none of the little 4-year-olds knew who was different from each other. It was just, I like doing this because it's fun.
Do you want to start going a little bit more background about that program to get us like,
I would love to,
okay,
yeah.
let's do that because it's
Okay.
fascinating.
Okay. So this was something that started when I first joined Binghamton University. I was able to partner with one of my coworkers, Tina Caswell. She was investigating the use of an SLP model in the preschool setting. It really hadn't gone beyond that initial idea of we want to do some sort of language and literacy program. And we knew that we wanted to do some shared storybook reading because it's that like structured literacy socialization experience that our students have in the preschool setting that is really meaningful. And we know that reading is a language-based task and that students who are read to as preschoolers have an easier time learning to read. So this seemed like a really great place to start. The adaptive books, which I'll explain for those of you who haven't seen these before, they are things that you can kind of make on your own. There are other sellers like me on Teachers Pay Teachers who sell them. You can get them elsewhere. And for full disclosure, I'm not selling the books. I'm
Yeah.
just selling the pieces you can put in
Yeah.
the books. Um, So I don't want you to think you have to go to mine either. It's something that you can do on your own and make as well. But essentially, there's little pictures that go in. One of them has the question, and then there's a Velcro visual answer on top of it. And so our students will then, when it's their turn to answer a question, get the little picture piece and be able to answer. So our students who, again, minimally verbal or nonverbal can answer using these pictures. They're not highlighted as being different for answering using a picture. For our students who are highly verbal, they're just motivated by sticking the picture in the book. And again, our initial project was really limited in our scope. We were just looking at that SLP model. SLPs read all the books. It only lasted for 8 weeks in duration, and the teachers overwhelmingly loved it. They wanted us to come back. And so we've kind of continued to grow and expand in the years since with that kind of demand from our teachers.
That has to feel amazing.
Yeah.
That, right? Because you're like, oh, let's try something. But then when you get, I mean, it's just like a kid, your teachers motivated you to do more,
Yes.
basically, right?
And I was fortunate enough that now that I'm not working, like I'm in the schools doing these fun programs, but I'm employed by a university. So I get kind of that leeway where I don't have a caseload of students, that I have the time to do this. But I want to encourage SLPs who maybe feel like they don't have the time to go into their preschool classrooms and read to them to just use these types of books in your own therapy settings, or just meet and do an in-service with your preschool or your younger grade level teachers on how they can make these and use them in their class. And again, the great thing is it could be done with books that they already love, that they already have.
That's what I was going to say is, in I know I've told everybody on almost every episode, it seems like I find a way to say that I started out as a kindergarten teacher. I don't know why. I really am just really proud of that because I really loved being a kinder teacher. And I mean, reading, well, in all the grades, but I could imagine that this could work whether you just go in once with a whole group lesson and doing hitting the kids that are in your group, but then the teacher being like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I need to do more of that. And
Yeah.
then everybody's winning. Everyone's winning.
And that was overwhelmingly the response that we got when we did this for 8 weeks, right? We had picked the books, we had gone in, the teachers overwhelmingly welcomed us. I mean, they signed up to participate, so of course
Hmm.
they wanted us there. But they left with so much information from us that we really do, especially again, universal design for learning. We know how to incorporate some of those strategies and how to hit some of those language points that sometimes our early education teachers, our elementary school teachers haven't figured out. Like their focus is on every kid and everyone's individual goals, that it can get really bogged down on how to make that curriculum really inclusive for everyone. Especially when, our curriculums don't come with these built-in universal design for learnings. It requires a lot of work on our teachers' part. So it was a really good collaboration between the partners. They overwhelmingly said that those adaptive pictures help to really engage their students. And that's been, when we interview them for the last few years, that's really been what they talked about. The other piece is I went to a talk at ASHA, not this ASHA, the last ASHA, where someone else had done what they called little prompts in books, which had questions in there. And they found that adults who didn't have any training engaged in higher quality reading when we had those prompts for adults too. So pausing, asking questions helps our adults to become better, higher quality storybook readers, as well as helping our children.
I love it because I used to be like, this is making me wonder. I have a thought, and then the kids are like, oh, what? And right, and we all know that engage it when we're looking at the efficacy of therapy, full stop, not just literacy, language, just speech in general. Engagement is the biggest component to our outcomes. When we get the engagement, we're going to get better outcomes. I don't
Yeah.
know if that was.
And that was a common theme. I actually have some quotes from our teachers on engagement that they saw in the students. So I will read some of those to you because I think it drives home just how loved this program was by the teachers. If you don't have buy-in from your collaborators, you're
Yeah.
really not going to get very far. Um, but let me find one that talks about engagement. This is a longer one from one of our preschool teachers. She said, in terms of the strengths of this program, she said, it's vocabulary, questioning, having the kids respond in a meaningful way because it's keeping their attention. They want to know what comes next. They want to get a chance to touch the pictures and answer the question. It just keeps them all engaged so much better than a normal story. A lot of times when I'm reading other books, I have a couple of friends who like to get off task and spin in the back, and they might be listening, but they're not really attending fully. So the pictures and the manipulatives really help them focus better, and it gives them a reason to focus.
I love it.
Right?
Golf clap, golf clap. Love it, love it, love it.
Yep.
Do you want to go into, I don't know where there's so many, okay,
There's so many different avenues, I know.
right. So where do we go? Okay, so well, let's finish up that getting teachers on board is sweetening the pot, saying, hey, I'm coming into your classroom.
Yeah.
I want to do this lesson, and then you just bang out the best one you got, and then they're gonna want more. They're gonna want more, right?
Yeah.
So what how do well no, how do we begin? Like, right? I know there's so many avenues, but obviously you need to think about your audience, then your book. How do you choose books?
Yeah, so the first time that we selected those 8 books, it was for me and my research partners, and we kind of just picked those I want to say very popular titles from child development, The Hungry Caterpillar and The Tiny Seed, a lot of Eric Carle. We did, I forget another title that was very popular, The Mitten by Jan Brett.
Yeah.
Yep. So a lot of ones that we've kind of heard before that we knew would be familiar to teachers and that they heard. And after that first iteration, the feedback that we got was that the teachers loved the books, but they also wanted to say with books that aligned with their curriculum. And so the next time around, we worked with the teachers and had them select the books.
Oh.
And again, as you said, I had 2 grants for this. I had a community engaged learning grant from Binghamton University, and I also have a National Education Association student success grant, which really helped fund the books. But again, you don't need all this money to do this project. You can very well select books that already exist off of your shelves and just make them adaptive. But one of the things the teachers highlighted was aligning with the curriculum. So I took a lot of feedback they gave me. They selected the books to align with their modules in New York State in this area. And then kind of like halfway through, they reflected and said, we really need some social emotional learning books. And I love social emotional teaching. So I had a bunch of titles that I was like, yeah, I think we can get you some of these titles too. Yeah, I would select something that is meaningful. Again, we talk about aligning with the curriculum, right? SLP should not be working in a silo. We want to align with what teachers in the classrooms are doing. And that can be really hard when you're a K through 12 SLP, when you have so many different grade levels to align with. So it could be as simple as asking as like, hey, do you have an extra copy of one of your favorite books that your students already kind of love, that you love the story to, and starting there?
And I would say also go to your librarian.
Oh yeah, they're great resources.
Librarians, oh my gosh. When her name's Barbara. I'll never forget her. Barbara, the librarian. She was, as soon as she knew things that I were wanting to do, she'd go out of her way and pre-think for me and be like, oh my gosh, I've got something for you. And just getting everyone involved is so exciting.
Oh, yeah, I used to stop in and our librarian had like a little case outside the library with books for like the different themes throughout the year. So there'd be a lot of like fall or Thanksgiving, and I'd be like, ooh, I need to look at these titles.
Yes. Don't forget your librarian.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
another key collaborator that we can bring into a program.
Oh, yeah, because what if they were doing, oh my gosh, what if the librarian was also adapting books when they were doing a library read?
Haven't done that, but that's a great
Bam!
step, right?
Wow, I'm not just another pretty face. Thank goodness. I got some smarts
One of you
underneath something.
listeners get a librarian on board, come back and tell me how it worked out.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I want to hear more. Yeah. Well, okay. So you say adapt books. Could you kind of tell me, like, I think I know, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
So it's really easy. Essentially, like again, SLPs, we kind of know when to pause and when to ask questions, right? When to touch on, I love to touch on character emotions, especially at those younger ages to get them thinking of those internal states for our characters. And I started on Microsoft PowerPoint and I printed out these little squares because to assemble them, I had packing tape that I would put the clear packing tape over the question, put some Velcro on top of it, and then put these were all laminated, the laminated answer on top of that. And so I wanted to make sure that the size of my pictures aligned with the size of the packing tape because I can easily change the size of what I print, but I can't get bigger packing tape. So trial and error just with some squares. And then after that, I would just type a question that would go with the book into one of the squares. And because I sell them on Teachers Pay Teachers, I made some of the art in, Microsoft Paint is what I usually use, or I draw them because I'm have an art background a bit. But you can easily just take a picture of clip art that goes with it. You can copy a character face from the book and just take like a screenshot of it. So there's a lot of easy ways to get the images. You don't have to go above and beyond with this.
So then when you said that you would, where would you put the question? Where's the question in the book?
So the question would go on a little white square, and I put the question towards the bottom of the square, put packing tape over it so that you could clearly see it's just stuck there, but it's clear so you could see it. And these would just be in the pages of the book. So you knew when to pause, you knew when to ask it. And then some Velcro would go on top of that question, usually in like the blank space where I hadn't typed the words. And then the answer piece would Velcro to it. So I would take it out of my books and ask the student the question. The question is right there for me, so I don't have to do all this thinking, which we also had grad students involved in some of the later iterations of this. So it really helped them learn how to ask questions for books. But the same could be true for our teachers, right? Prompting them on when to ask questions or what are good questions for this age group to get them kind of starting on that reading comprehension piece. And then that visual, that answer is right there for the students. And there's a few different ways you can do that. I usually start by just asking the question and handing the picture directly over. But after the students have had experience, and it depends on your grade level too. I'm doing this with preschoolers, so they're itty bitty and they're new to the school system. But by the spring, I can, one of the teachers talked about handing them all out at once, and the students would have to listen for when their picture would belong into the book. So you're starting with just that direct answer, but then the students are learning to like discriminate of when it's their picture's turn to get in there and really listening to all the questions. So you can scale this up and scale this down in a lot of different ways. You can also use them in individual sessions, right? I mean, we've all had students that might not be proficient communicators yet, and these are right there to kind of work on some of those reading comprehension skills or just answering WH questions in general.
Yeah, you just made me think how wonderful this would be if the teacher did the book as a whole class, use the same book then in a smaller group in with your group and really be able to target, and then they've already heard it. Or vice versa, you've done it first with you. What I mean, like it is, oh my gosh,
right.
it's endless, people, it's endless.
Right. We actually had our first year of doing this, we had one of the teachers who would like to leave the books out on her shelf where students had access to it. A lot of the teachers don't do that because they find the pictures don't all get back into the books, which fair, 4-year-olds. But she took this beautiful video of these students like role playing, and they were actually asking each other the questions. There was this little 4-year-old girl asking the question, handing the picture to her friend, and having her friend answer it. So it encourages them to ask questions about books too, which I haven't seen from other curriculums or other, like I find that that's a hard piece in student learning is getting them to ask questions about books or anticipate what to ask. And just by all this modeling of us asking the questions and having those motivated Velcro pieces that they want to stick in the books. I don't know what it is about Velcro. It is like catnip for children.
Agreed.
Right? And so they were learning how to do that and modeling it for themselves, right? That was what they chose to do in their free read time, was to take one of these adaptive books and be the teacher and ask the questions, which I thought was really great demonstration of their learning.
I mean, asking quite besides the question just why, okay, not that question, but teaching the skill of asking pertinent questions that engage your communicative partner, questions that bring the topic further, is such a high level critical skill that you're starting at age 4,
Yeah.
3,
Yeah,
4,
I mean, again, we're
you
starting
know?
with something like when I talk about asking these questions and deciding what questions to ask, I really want to make sure that the answers have a visual component to it because, again, that's our multiple means for these kids and helping support them in our answers. It also aligns really well with those grade levels. Like we're starting with those what, who, where
Mm-hmm.
questions. That doesn't mean there's not an occasional when or an occasional why in there. And then, again, focusing on some things that they might have to inference from the book. How does this person feel? Oh, well, we know they stomped their feet, right? They must be angry, but they have that little angry face there to kind of help them learn that it might not be directly said, but it's in the book.
Oh, my mind is going because then I'm also thinking about like your higher summary or any of the kids, right? That
Yeah.
they have to choose between two answers. They have two and it's theirs.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
which
So
one is the better answer for you?
mhm.
And
Yes.
why?
Again, scale it however you want to for older age levels. I've specifically
Yeah.
done preschool. Although I have incorporated some of our high school students into this. So when I talk about making the books for this current iteration, our high schoolers who are in our special education class are actually assembling some of the books as part of their life skills program. So again, like just building that school community. I know SLPs are really limited on time, and so I would just kind of even write in the books the page numbers and like pencil or something so the students can find it and label what picture goes on each page. I provided them with a model so that these students were kind of able to do it. And it was great because they all found a job that like they were able to reflect on it. Like, I'm not great with cutting, but I love the taping part of this.
Wow. What a way to
Right?
get the
So
entire school involved.
entire school involved. And again, some of that like labor intensive piece off
Hmm.
of SLP's plate, right? Like SLPs can absolutely, if they're someone who's K through 12, they can bring this life skills in and have them communicate what skills they are best with and what they aren't and you know how to interview for their skills, right? There's a lot of social pieces that we can work in with our high schoolers too.
Yeah, tell me why you would be a good cutter. Why you would be a good
What makes you a
Velcroer.
strong laminator?
Oh, me, I love laminating.
Right? And yeah, the students found it really, really like a great learning lesson. Actually, two of them are working on like actually like a an internship in our school because they've kind of like graduated, and so this
Mhm.
is one of their projects.
I just love everything you're saying. I love everything you're saying because I can see just how it's globally amazing. It just
Yeah,
hits everything. It hits
it
everything.
hits all the stuff, all
It's
the
hitting
great.
all this stuff. So I know you're focused, your focus was on preschool. Um, and then you integrated like high school and help making the books, but is there a way that this would be a good option for our like upper elementary, middle school to actually use these books um in their classroom and in their therapy?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Again, you're probably picking titles that are not as basic. Like one of our titles is I Went Walking. You're probably not using like, oh, I saw a yellow dog in
Yeah.
with your third graders, right? But you could absolutely pick some of those more detailed they don't even have to be picture books. All the ones that we've done them with are picture books because the books get pretty inflated when you start adding a whole bunch of Velcro in
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So having a bigger sized book lends well to it. But there are for like third or fourth graders, there are still picture books that they use in their classroom. They're just a bit more detailed. They have more complex vocabulary, more complex themes that they're targeting. So absolutely could still be used at the older grade levels. Again, just comes back to that book selection.
Yeah, because we don't want to leave out our older kids too,
No.
because that's the thing is we forget that they also love the fun stuff,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
as you're talking about this, right, incorporating our older kids, I could absolutely see like a lot of schools have reading programs where, fourth or fifth graders might come read to a first grader.
Hmm.
But reading some of these books to the younger kids, right, that prompt is in there for our older kid to ask a question. So again, we're kind of embedding some of that high quality storybook reading for someone, right? A fifth grader is not trained in high quality storybook reading. They're just, practicing reading. So
Hmm.
it can, again, be used in a lot of different ways.
I love that. Yeah, we used to call it pals in my other district. I don't know what they do now, but right, the fifth grade, fourth and fifth would come and read in my class, kinder.
Yep.
Yeah,
I had a reading buddy when I was in kindergarten. It
and
was
we
great. A fifth
love
grader,
it.
I think it was first grade, one of those years, fifth grader came
Yeah.
and read to me. I was like, my fifth grader's coming today. And it stuck with me, and it's all these years later from when I was in first
Right.
grade. So,
And you remember when you saw them in the hallway, you'd be like, oh, and then you're already a friend.
Jeff, hi.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm
That's my
just,
reading buddy.
oh, I
And
love
again, like
it.
it speaks to that larger building that school community, right? We have the high
Mhm.
schoolers involved in making it. You could easily build some of these book buddy programs. There's a lot of different ways that we can use these and incorporate these.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, my mind is running and racing with how many so many wonderful ideas. All right, where do we want to go next?
Oh, I don't
Go.
know.
I know, I
So many
know.
different directions.
Um, right. Do we want to get into multi-tier systems?
Sure.
Where do we want to go with that?
Love multi-tiered systems.
Lay it on
So
us.
another piece
Mhm.
to this program that we've wasn't in the first iteration, but we're doing now is a 5-minute kid program for our students who have just some mild articulation, some speech sound needs, or some language needs as well. A lot of our students struggle with subjective pronouns. I don't know if there's like some hidden dialect that hasn't been made clear to me, but they'll use like her going shopping instead of she is going shopping. And so after a screening, we then pick these kids up, we pull them for 5 minutes in the hallway, drill them with their specific target, and send them right back into class. And one of the feedback we got from our preschool teachers is that 5-minute kid system is really valuable in the school district we're in, but it's only like K through middle school. We don't really do it with our high school students. Um, but that RTI model isn't really widespread because of the difference in funding for our
Mm.
preschool teachers. And so they're always stuck with this student like has some speech sounds, I want to help them, but they don't qualify for services, right? Their speech production isn't severe enough to qualify them for official services. And so as part of our program, we said this is so tied with their literacy development, their phonological awareness piece that or again, something like pronouns or verb tense that's tied with that oral language that's going to build them up as readers later on. And so we really wanted to kind of extend this already existing program into the preschool realm. So they get pulled for 5 minutes. I don't know, for anyone who hasn't been in a preschool classroom, any new adult is usually like the fan favorite. Everyone will raise
Mhm.
their hand and be like, pick me. I want to go. Why don't I get to go in the hallway with you? So it's not usually twisting any child's arm to get them to go out there. Part of this is we get our kids' permission or the parents' permission first before, because it is part of that tiered system. We want to make sure they know that, hey, we've noticed some of these, just speech sound delays for them or whatever it is. And I've never, at the preschool level, I've never had a parent say no to that. They're like, yeah, yeah, sign my kid up, right? Like, the benefits for the teacher is that these students are not missing a ton of academic time, right?
Mhm.
It's the same, especially for a preschooler, they could spend 5 minutes in the bathroom. So spending five
Right.
minutes with me, they're not,
Yeah.
they're not, they're not missing much going on in the classroom compared to, getting pulled for a half hour with a whole bunch of other kids with different targets, and you're not even getting as many trials done. Um, and so the graduate clinicians that I had with me really love that 5-minute piece with the kids. They love getting to kind of think about how to cue these kids for their speech sounds, and then comparing what they see from this kid individually with what they see with this child in the classroom. The other piece for RTI is just that ongoing collaboration that we have with the teachers. So, telling them, hey, like they're doing really well. You can cue them with like this cue for this sound, or, you can incorporate this skill into your whole group reading. It's really going to directly target some of these kids who are struggling with this concept, but anyone can use like, oh, like let's talk about a pronoun. Let's talk about, we use he at the beginning of the sentence, or we use hers or that possessive S when something belongs to someone, right? Our students who are using it already, great. They might not know the reason they use it already at 4 years old. So something to think about for our students who are a bit, um, have a bit more of those cognitive skills and better language skills. But for our students struggling, that's a reminder of something that, we taught them in the hallway for a bit.
I mean, I'm trying to remember if it was Sherry from the last episode where she was talking about engagement and the need for like explicit teaching. And so
Yes.
I think she just pointed out that sometimes we forget to do that because we're so uh, data driven. Wow, painful, everyone. Sorry about that. But rather than trying to take data on where they are,
Mhm.
stopping and actually doing explicit teaching.
Yes, and that's something that I have to remind my students of, especially with the speech sounds for the 5 minutes.
Yes.
It seems that they get them in the hallway and they're like, say this word, say this word. I'm like, hold on, like we need to introduce what this word was. Do you remember what sound we were working on from last week? Or I'm going to teach you this sound today. Remember, your tongue goes here. Before we start getting into collecting that data, we also have to make sure that we're doing that teaching part too.
Right. So I love that this concept really is really strong on
Yes.
teaching skill, and then we can take the data.
And again, like even just going back to those adaptive books, they can be used across that MTSS tier to begin with, right? We're doing them in whole group lessons, but we can easily, there was one student in one of the classrooms who was mentally verbal, and had autism. And the SLP in the school district was like, I was telling her how, I was talking with the classroom teacher, and the classroom teacher, I actually have the quote from her. Let me find it for you. Oh, she says, I think this program was especially great for my one student with ASD. It was a really good way to get him to move into books because usually a story time he would not sit and listen. But when you guys came in, if it was a story he really, really wanted to watch because he knew we were interacting with it, he would sit and listen to it for the most part. So again, this is a child mentally verbal who had no interest in group storybook reading at all. But we brought in these books and these little adaptive pictures. And, I told all my graduate clinicians, I was like, if you see eye contact from him, if you see him even listening, go over and offer him a picture. Like, let's include him, even if he's not in the same space, not on the carpet with the rest of our friends. And the classroom teacher was really impressed that he was able to engage in these books in that way that I was talking to his SLP about it, and she started borrowing the books from the classroom to use in her small group lesson. So again, that carryover piece that, okay, we're starting, and I mean, it's not really a tiered system for a student who already has an IEP, but it could very well be a student in the speech improvement program who's not classified yet of this book was used in class. Let me use it a bit differently. Let me target it a bit more. Let me use it to pre-teach some of these questions and these concepts before they get into classrooms. So again, a lot of different ways we can incorporate that, take data on it so that if it's a child we think we're going to refer, we have all that information.
You already have, right, you have the data needed to support that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Um, so let's go, we're talking about data now
I
and
know
data
we're jumping
collection.
all over the place here, and it's
So
great. Love
I
it.
know we can't help it, but so how do we take data?
For this program, I really let the teachers kind of reflect on it themselves. This was more of a preventative program of an enrichment program than it was of a like detailed speech therapy program where because it's a whole class, right? I don't think I can take data on a whole class while I'm reading a book.
Thank you.
That's a tall
Yeah.
task right there.
Yeah.
So instead, I think how we measured learning was how our teachers saw improvement on different benchmarks throughout the years. They also, again, those subjective reports of my students are interacting with books without pictures more. They're asking questions about books without those little adaptive pictures a bit more. The big one was about student engagement that I think that
Mhm.
helped kind of engage them more in just shared storybook reading in general. Um, in the past, our teachers have talked about that something that they learned from us as the SLP model is how to include every student. They would talk about how, I would sit down and read this book and it would be a lot shorter. because I wasn't stopping to ask all these questions, and when I did ask the questions, I might lose some of the other one's attention. So I wasn't doing as much of that. Not every student was getting a turn. Um, One of the other things that when we started this program, one of the preschool teachers, when I said, "Hey, we're going to do this for 30 minutes, we're going to do about 15 minutes for the book reading and another 15 minutes for a language and literacy follow-up activity." So sometimes we would do like a cut and paste sequence. Sometimes we did different things to target some different New York State standards. To again use some of that hard copy of whatever they're working on as part of that data collection for their overall preschool portfolio of improvement skills. And she looked at me and she's like, Cassandra, there's no way these kids are going to sit 15 minutes for a story. Like, sure, you could have a half hour out of my, she's like, this is not going to take you a half hour. And by the end of this was when we were doing the 8-week program when we initially started. By the end of it, she was like, this could have gone on for 45 minutes. We could have done so much more with this. Like she was shocked that her students just stayed that engaged from it. And it also benefits that, you know, you're adding an extra adult into the room. So if it's just me, I'm coming in, but that's a third adult because all our rooms have a classroom teacher and our preschool aides and they have one aide in each classroom. And then you add in an SLP. But I also occasionally, depending on which iteration of this program, have, you know, a small gaggle of grad students with me. And so we were really able to kind of branch out and ask some of their questions a bit more and really gauge. And again, that ongoing communication with the preschool teacher for data collection. So I had a student working, one of my grad students working with one of the kids, and you know, the preschool teacher's at the table next to her, and she's leaning over. She's like, "Wait, was he able to answer that question?" Because she knows his goals a lot better than I do, right? I'm going into 3 different preschool classrooms that each have 15 to 18 kids in them. I'm not going to know all their goals. I'm just kind of there to again model for those preschool teachers and help implement some of these strategies and some follow-up lessons that go with language and literacy goals. But she, as the classroom teacher, is able to be like, they answered that question. They weren't able to answer that. Or that wait, this kid like held his pencil the correct way while you were doing this. Like that's great. We've been working on this. Or did that student just identify the first sound in their name? Like I haven't seen that yet. So I think that was kind of how the data was collected.
Talk about full court,
Right?
right? I
Yeah,
love
it
that.
takes it takes a village. This is really like a village
Yeah.
program. But it's not something that I feel like adds a ton of work. I think it's really easy to get teacher buy-in for this because of how easy it is to implement. And I have a few quotes from teachers talking about how easy this was to implement into their classroom. On one of these pages, I'll find it for you. Oh yeah, one said that we were asking about, you know, I'm about to be going on my winter break here. I'm not going to be in the classroom with them for a few weeks. And, you know, there's been some times where we have different days off. And one of the teachers shared that it's been seamless to implement these books when I'm not there. You haven't been here and I've still been doing the books. The kids tell me, hey, that's a book that Miss Natali does. And they're shocked that I have that one, right? They just associate it with me. And when the teacher brings it up, it's like, I got one of those too. We're gonna do these too. Another said, observing what you did with the whole story, that I just incorporated it and used the same tools. I actually sat on the floor with them, so I was a bit closer to them. It seemed to work really well. It's pretty easy to follow along with how you guys did it. So again, just that it fits in with their curriculum. It's books that they chose, and it's a breeze to use. Like that was another quote, was just, it was such a breeze.
So my mind started going. So let me just tell you where it went.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Here I'm thinking that I'm now let's say I'm in like third grade, fourth grade teacher,
Okay.
and I've got a class of levels from readers that are reading on eighth grade down to pre-read in, let's call it third grade.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I'm thinking, okay, I really want to do this, you know, interactive book. I want to do a picture book, but I've got such, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I have such a wide range of kids. My thought was in my small group with my higher functioning, I hate saying that, but you know, my advanced readers.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that something like that, if that's a nicer way of saying it. We choose the book. And they're the ones that are making the questions and adapting the book,
Yeah. I mean, they
right?
can even like draw the little pictures because at that age, like a lot of them would like that and will love to see that into a book.
And
Um,
then having their book be used as the read aloud and the would be amazing.
yeah.
I mean, I could just see how this could be
And I
used
mean,
in
that could
so many
also be
ways.
something that, like, again, incorporating across domains, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
they write the questions in their small group ELA time, but they draw all the pictures in their art class,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
right? We get the art
Yes.
teacher on board now. We're just recruiting the whole
Oh,
school on
get the
this.
art teacher now. She's choosing books and coming up and having the art projects. And then, oh my God, then being that my daughter's the music teacher, then that we'll get music involved. We'll have everything. We'll get
All the
everything.
things. Yes.
But no, I do like the idea of the ownership too. Of and having the children start thinking about, oh,
Sorry. Thank you.
bless you. Um, that higher level thinking as they're looking through the book and coming up like what would be a good question to ask here.
Yes, and you could
Um,
also differentiate the follow-up activities as well. So again, like back to the preschool level, because that's where I've been doing it. One of the books, again, a popular title that we've been done a couple of times now was The Three Bears, right?
mhm.
Everyone's done The Three Bears. And the activity that we did with them afterwards was a matching sheet where they had to match like all the small items went with baby bear and all the middle-sized items went with mama bear and all the big items went with Papa Bear. And some of them had pictures where they were just matching pictures, so they didn't have to think about the size yet, whereas others didn't have that picture to match. It was just kind of sorting them in the blank spaces. So with different ways to differentiate even the follow-up activities to go with it, so that all students can be included.
I like that. So you using the same book but
Same thing.
having it tiered on all those different levels on that after the extension activity could be so that everyone remains engaged
Yes. Yeah.
because
'Cause
they're
again,
now
we don't
doing
want something to be too hard for one of our students, and we don't want another student there that is
being like too
too
easy.
bored, right? And I think that for some of our general education teachers, not for any, error on their part, I guess, but they've kind of been taught to teach to the middle.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
personally an advocate that I wish our general education teachers got more special education in their master's curriculum, especially, since IDEA is all for inclusion and we've been shifting progressively towards more inclusion, that, these teachers really do need to know what to do with all of their students in the classroom
Mm-hmm.
and not just teach to the ones that they're at grade level, they're in the middle, this is who I'm teaching to, and the others will get pulled for extra support. And again, I think that's where that collaboration piece comes in. It could be, I've never thought to differentiate this for my ones who are struggling, or make this a bit more challenging for my ones who are sitting there knowing all the answers. And I think SLPs are just masters of differentiating and modification. Like I said, I think UDL fits very naturally into our wheelhouse without us even knowing the term. We don't need to know the term to have done it,
Right. I think we're all like, oh, I have been doing this the whole time. I didn't know
right?
it had this
This is
name.
just what I do. It has a name.
Yeah.
Cool. I can call it something now.
Were there any like unexpected like surprises or wins that you weren't expecting when you were doing this? Um,
I think the most interesting piece was just the collaboration between everyone from my perspective, right? Because at some point I get to sit back a little bit more and my grad students are taking over and they're the ones collaborating with the special education teachers. Um, I think just how fast those kids build a connection with you. Like, I have told this to all the preschool teachers. I was like, one day I'm going to retire and I'm just going to show up to preschool classes and read them adaptive books. Like, that's it. Like, it's just the best place to be. They all want to participate. Um,
I
yeah,
will be with you.
right?
That's what I would love that.
This
I
is
would
this
love
is what
that.
we're all now, guys. I'm sorry for you listening. You're recruited. We are all now retiring one day, and we are forming an adaptive book group, and we're just going to bounce around to different
And
classes
we're going to just be across the nation because we're
across the
all,
nation. Just show up at a different classroom one day and be like, hey, I'm here to read to your
yeah.
students. We got some cool Velcro pictures in there for you.
Well, what are your where do you want to go with this? How do you want to expand this?
I know it's
Next.
so hard. So our current expansion is including some of those more social emotional learning books
Mm,
and also aligning it a bit with the curriculum. I would love to start pairing with other teachers and going to other schools because I think the ones that I've been working with, I love them. You know, like it was from a connection from when I was in the school district is how I knew all these teachers. So that mutual respect between us was already there and that already used to collaborating was already there. But I think they now have all the books that they probably need and they know how to use them. So I think expanding it further, maybe doing some trainings for our early elementary school teachers on how to make and use these and the importance of UDL in their classroom, how to reach out to some of our students that are really struggling with language and literacy learning in a way that doesn't target them in a way that every student is like, this is motivating. Oh, this student does this too. Cool. We're all going to do it together. So that's definitely one of the next steps that I would love to take this with. I also, this is slightly unrelated, but when you talk about older grade levels,
yes,
I
that's where I was
have
hoping you were going to go.
I have for the, and this is like something that involves like a publisher's work. I don't like if someone has the time out there to do it, please do it. I would love for popular titles to have differentiated reading levels so that everyone in the classroom can be reading the same book, but it's targeted for a different reading level. I feel like a lot of times our struggling readers in those classrooms get books about topics that are way beneath them for, like a fourth or fifth grader. And I would love to see like, Harry Potter's a popular title, right? Can
Yes.
we make it so the plot stays the same, but some details, some words are changed, it's shortened a bit so that all of our students in the same class can read the same book at their level and all engage with each other about a story. So I think that's a way bigger project that I think you actually need
That
a publisher or something on board for. But again, anyone who has connections or who has just a ton of time to take some of these titles and rewrite them,
take Cassandra's email and reach her and let her know how to get that. Because
right? I want that so badly.
I
Um,
know that there are some programs that within like the science social studies that they have different reading levels
Yeah,
with
so
the
it'd be nice if we
technical.
did that for like books for pleasure too. So that like our
Yes.
our struggling ones aren't highlighted as like, oh, you're reading that book. Like I read that book like 4 years ago, right?
Right.
Like, oh, hey, you're reading this really cool title too. And a lot of our students again get stuck on like some very early reading books because they're struggling readers, but the topics are, beneath them at this
There are
point.
those high-low readers in the library. Again, your librarian, mine is named Barbara, can
For all
help
the
you
Barbaras out
for
there, you
all
guys are great.
all the Barbaras. Thank you so much. There's this is when I was working in high school. Um, she would let me would pick out depending on what the students what they wanted, she would find good titles that were high-low. So they were low lexicon,
Okay.
but really high interest and talking about subject matter that high schoolers should be reading about and talking about.
Right.
So it'd be neat to be able to, maybe that would be a way, finding some high
Yeah.
lows and adapting those even more.
Yes, I just love adapting things and making them accessible. I think
Yeah.
if you're an SLP, I feel like these things just carry into your normal life. I have obviously I have friends who are SLPs because
Yeah,
SLPs
because
are
we're the
cool,
coolest.
right? And I was playing a game night with her and her husband. He's like, "Oh, we can't play this game. It's three people." We both look at each other and we're like, "You haven't adapted a game before? Come on." We're like, "No, no, this we can make this work."
I love it. I mean, but then again, as an SLP, we're dangerous wherever we are.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't step into a Target unless you're ready to spend an hour of your
Oh,
life.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I know the book fair came to the school that I'm in. I'm at Newark Valley Central School District is where this program has been at, and they had their book fair last week, and I'm just like, I want to make this title adaptive. This one, I want all the books.
Okay, Sophia, I'm not even gonna try your last name. Sorry, because I don't trust myself tonight. She is saying, y'all, Baltimore City Schools has an adaptive library. We need to get in on that. Okay,
No.
Cassandra is now green with envy. Green
Yes.
with envy.
Yes.
Oh,
And
and
for
of
and for
course,
those
yeah.
of you who are at bigger school districts, you might have more resources. The school district in the area that I'm at is pretty rural. And so it's a very small district. So I would we have a very nice library, but again, for all of those different differentiating tools, it can be hit or miss, and it depends on your school district's budget and all those
And
other
thanks,
stuff.
Sophia also said board maker. I've forgotten about that. Yeah, you can make books
Oh,
in board
yes, yes.
making.
So
Yeah,
instead of clip art images, you can also use
yeah.
maker images, and those are really great because then if you have a student with a communication device, those pictures could align as well.
And oh,
And free
um,
resources, guys, check out at-udl.com. Sophia's given us free resources over here. I love it.
I just clicked on it and it didn't go where I think it needed to go. I'm gonna try that again.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it again.
Carolyn's going to confirm this before us.
I am gonna try and confirm. Oh, it says under construction, come back soon. Okay, keep it. Okay, those that come back and are just listening, it is at-udl.com. We're all gonna check back.
Yes.
Because yeah, we want all the things and we want
They're
all the
busy
things.
making it better.
Oh, she's getting okay.
Oh, there
Thanks,
might be a
Sophia.
corrected link.
Okay, Sophia's doing the heavy lifting right now. And we so appreciate you. Any other suggestions, Cassandra, that you can give us for materials?
Um, I mean, I'm a big fan of like before I even started selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, I find that to be a great resources. They have
That's
sales
true,
all the
yeah.
time and a lot of free resources on Teachers Pay Teachers. And again, I love getting things that come from other educators because they're the ones on the front line. They're in the
Mhm.
classrooms and they kind of know what they need versus a third party who maybe hasn't been in the classroom and is designing a curriculum.
Oh,
So
it's not as if we know exactly what you're talking about.
So again, anytime that I can get something from other educators who are actually in the classroom, I'm all for it. I will say if you are in the area for the next ASHA convention, the exhibitor hall is a great place to go pick everyone's mind at. There's always a lot of great resources and support there too. But you gotta wait a year for that one.
Oh man, it was so much fun, and there is so much stuff out there. That is
Oh,
true.
so much stuff. Yes.
Gosh, yeah. I always like to say, or I always like to ask, okay, like, what is, okay, we could start with just one. What is your one takeaway you want the listeners to leave going, you know what? I'm going to do this tomorrow. I can do it.
The one takeaway would just be to trust the knowledge that you have on building inclusive lessons. I think it's there, right? And we can expand it a bit more into our general education setting too. So if you want somewhere to start tomorrow, go into one of the teachers you know already likes you that you have a good relationship with and say, "Hey, I just heard about this really cool continuing education podcast, and they were talking about some universal design for learning. You want to try something in your classroom?" And get a partner involved.
Okay, I'm trying to type, listen, and get all the things because I know we're running out of time, and I want to make sure we're not ending yet. People, stay
And again,
seated.
again, this starts small, right? You guys are not going to go out and like make big changes overnight. It starts with just having that one conversation with that one teacher that you already have the connection with. And it doesn't have to be a gen ed teacher. It could be a special education teacher. It could be, hey, all of your students kind of have complex communication needs, and let's see if we can have them interact with books a bit more because maybe that's something that they're missing.
I love it. Um, thanks, Arena. She put in uh, the link that works, and that
Yeah.
is good. And those that are listening, I will make sure that it's put in the uh, podcast notes, show notes, so that you will see that too. Because I'm not sure if the chat shows up or not. I don't think it does. I should know that. Again, it's been a tiring day today, but oh my God, I'm loving everything. Okay. All right. So, you have just laid amazing stuff on us, and I can't believe it's almost an hour, and it just feels like a minute. But where can listeners find your materials and keep learning from you? How can
Yes,
we?
so
Yeah.
I have my materials. I have some they're called book companions. It's how I have them tagged. Not all of them have adaptive book pieces, but a lot of them do. And if you purchase any of those, I try to keep them relatively cheap for everyone. Like I think most of them are like $1 to $2 range. It comes with instructions on kind of how to assemble the books if you were like, huh, that verbal description you gave me is not how I learned best. I would have loved a visual.
Hmm.
There's a bit kind of a picture of what that looks like there. And again, I don't want to say that I'm the only seller, but if you're interested in some of the titles I have, my Teachers Pay Teachers store is SLP Life. And there's a bunch of other materials that are on there besides just the adaptive books. But feel
I
free to check
love
it
it.
out.
Thank you.
You're also
Um,
welcome to, I think, I don't know if my email address is out there, but you're also welcome to reach out to me. If you search my name and Binghamton University, the faculty website page will come up with my contact information.
we love that. And I love when people reach out to me too. So,
Huh.
and I know Cassandra means it. She
Yes,
absolutely means
yes.
it. So, all right. I guess we are coming to the end. I don't want to go.
I don't want to go
I'm
either. I've had so
not
much time and
ready.
I've loved getting to share all the quotes from, the people who are actually there, the other collaborators, the teachers. Yeah, it's just been so much fun.
Yeah, did we miss anything? Did you get, I
Um,
want to make sure I just realized, I don't want
yeah.
to stop you if we
No, I would
covered about
say
it.
I
Okay.
guess the one connection that happened by just like sheer happenstance is that the high school special education teacher's son was in the UPK classrooms, and so
What's
she
UPK? Sorry.
our universal preschool.
Okay.
And she had the unique perspective of being both the teacher that helped our high schoolers assemble these books
Mhm.
and a parent for a student. And so she would talk
Wow.
about how her son would be like he called her mom's students my kids. So he would talk, I think I let me find the
Yeah.
quote from her so I could get his cuteness correct. Uh, and she said, my son in preschool loved the books, and when I told him, this high school student helped make these, and this high school students have helped make these, he thought it was just so cool. It was a cool opportunity for him to see something being made for him and his classmates, being done by students in the district too. So again, just more of those connections that I thought was great. So, finding some simple ways to reach out and include some larger communities in your district could be a lot of fun too.
I mean, building communities right there is what you're doing. I mean,
Right?
that you're doing the work. You're doing the work, and now we can because you've given
Yes.
us just the inspiration. I cannot thank you so much for coming back.
Thank
Um,
you for
I
having me. I was so excited to come back again and to share this very different topic from long COVID with you.
Sure,
So
sure. I mean, this is super, super practical. This is accessible. I'm going to say totally inspiring, and I love how inclusive this this idea is that the adaptive books for language and literacy. I mean, I think it truly changes lives. It's amazing. But I can't believe we have to say goodbye. I want to thank everybody. If you guys are listening to this episode and you've enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, leave us a review, and share with your fellow SLPs. If they're school-based, this is a place to be. Don't forget you can earn your ASHA CEUs for listening. Head over to your Speech Therapy PD account. Don't forget, if you need live CEUs, you better do it before tonight is over. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight, and I can't wait to see everyone on the next episode of School